the chair. The clerk cannot receive other types of motion, cannot entertain points of order, nor participate in debate. We can now proceed to the election of the chair. Pursuant to Standing Order 106-2, the chair must be a member of the government party. I am ready to receive motions for the chair. Madame Valdez?
I'd like to nominate Emmanuel.
Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Valdez that Monsieur Dubourg be elected as chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? Seeing none, is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion?
Yes.
I declare the motion carried and Monsieur Dubourg duly elected chair of the committee. I invite Monsieur Dubourg to take the chair.
So, you ready? We can...
I will now proceed to the election of vice chairs. Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the first vice chair must be a member of the official opposition. I am now prepared to receive motions for the first vice chairs.
I'd like, oh,
We try, though.
I'd like to nominate Frank Caputo.
I'm sorry?
Frank Caputo?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Frank Caputo.
It has been moved by Madame Roberts that Monsieur Caputo be elected as first vice chair of the committee. Are there any further motions? Seeing none, is it the pleasure of the committee to adopt the motion? Carried. I declare the motion carried and Mr. Caputo duly elected first vice chair of the committee. Conformément à l'article
Pursuant to Standing Order 1062, the second vice chair must be a member of an opposition party other than the official opposition. I am now ready to receive motions for the second vice chair.
Merci.
Thank you. I propose Luc Desilets from the Bloc as second vice chair of the committee.
Il est proposé par Monsieur
It has been moved by Mr. Sanson that Mr. Desilets be elected as second vice chair of the committee. Are there any further motions?
Plaît-il au comité d'adopter la motion?
Does the committee wish to adopt the motion? Yes. I declare the motion carried and Mr. Desilets duly elected second vice chair of the committee.
All right, so let's continue. So thank you to the clerk for doing this, those elections. And now this is the introduction. And je vais aussi
I will also be asking the vice chairs to take the floor and say a few words. And I'm very pleased that members have chosen me as chair. Thank you. I also have experience already as being chair of the Official Languages Committee, and here I am now as chair of Veterans Affairs. I'm very pleased. I will now carry on with opening statement.
as a vice president to say a few words if you want to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Caputo.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, and I have a great deal of passion for veterans. Hope to work on my français as time goes on, so hopefully I can practice in the coming months and years with you. It's a real pleasure and honor to be here, and I hope that we can work together collaboratively for the benefit of veterans and all Canadians. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Caputo. And about you, Mr. Desilets. Monsieur Desilets, c'est à vous.
Well, for Mr. Caputo's French, I'll take care of that. We spoke this afternoon. I'll be his private tutor. It is truly an honor for me to sit on this committee. I was part of this committee at the last Parliament. It's part of my beliefs. I learned an enormous amount. I hope to continue learning. For new MPs, this is generally a committee that works very well together. We have great harmony on this committee. And there have not been so many serious debates as you may see on other committees. Things run smoothly, and I think that this leads to smooth work. That's all for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Desilets. I'll just put my earpiece on because just like you, I need to work on my English.
And I also want to welcome one of our members in online, Mr. Shankesi. Welcome to the committee. And as opening statement, yes, Monsieur Kessi. Ah, c'était juste merci.
Go ahead, Mr. Casey. Thank you very much. I have motions to introduce. Those are routine motions, and we have a couple of them. So first of at the outset, I'd like to congratulate you for your election as chair of this committee, Mr. DeBoer. It is a pleasure to work with you during this parliamentary session, and I have a lot of confidence in your trust in your leadership. I'm sorry, Mr. Casey. Sorry for interrupting. Yes, I will give you the floor. However, I have an opening statement to make, and then I will give you the floor. No worries. So,
welcome to meeting number 1 of the Standing Committee on Veteran Affairs. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format, pursuant to the House Order of November 25th, 2021. Members are attending in person in the room and remotely using the Zoom application. Regarding the speaking list, the committee clerk and I will do the best we can to maintain a consolidated order of speaking for all members, whether participating virtually or in person. Je profite de l'occasion pour rappeler
I would like to take this opportunity to remind all participants to this meeting that screenshots of or taking photos of your screen is not permitted. The proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website. Given the ongoing pandemic situation and in the light of the recommendations from the health authorities as well as the directive of the Board of Internal Economy on October 19, 2021, to remain healthy and safe, the following is recommended for all those attending the meeting in person. Everyone
and 2-meter physical distancing, whether sitting or standing. Everyone must wear a non-medical mask when circulating in the room. It is recommended in the strongest possible terms that members wear their mask at all times, including when seated. Okay, gonna have to. Everyone present must maintain proper hand hygiene by using the hand sanitizer at the room entrance. Committees' rooms are cleaned before and after each meeting. To maintain this, everyone is encouraged to clean surfaces such as the desk, chair, and microphone when vacating a seat. And last one, anyone with symptoms should participate by Zoom and not attend the meeting in person. En tant que président,
As the chair, I will be enforcing these measures for the duration of the meeting, and I thank members in advance for their cooperation. So now we are at routine motions. So with the agreement of the committee, we can now proceed to the consideration of routine motions. But before I give the floor to Mr. Casey, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of all committee members to thank our clerk, but also the analysts and all the team who will be supporting us in our meetings. So on this note, Mr. Sean Casey, you have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first routine motion, is the following: that the committee retain as needed and at the discretion of the chair the services of one or more analysts from the Library of Parliament to assist in its work.
Vous pourriez demander un vote par appel nominal pour chacune
Donc, avant de continuer, chers membres,
So before we proceed, dear members, as you know, the routine motions introduced by Mr. Casey were discussed among the party whips. So at this point, what I suggest that after each motion, I will ask if there's a disagreement. If there's no disagreement, then Mr. Casey can keep on introducing the other motions. But if you deem it necessary, we can also proceed to recorded vote, recorded division. So Mr. Casey just read the motion on analyst services. Is there disagreement for the adoption of this motion so that it's carried? Mr. Casey, please go on.
Motion is on the Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure. The motion is as follows, that the Subcommittee on Agenda and Procedure be established and be composed of 5 members, the chair, 1 member from each recognized party, and that the subcommittee work in a spirit of collaboration.
excuse me, for the subcommittee, are there any objections to adopt that subcommittee? Adopted.
So carried. So thank you, Mr. Chair. So next motion deals with meeting without quorum. That the chair be authorized to hold meetings to receive evidence and to have that evidence published when a quorum is not present, provided that at least 4 members are present, including 2 members of the opposition parties and 2 members of the government party. But when traveling outside the parliamentary precinct, that the meeting begin after 15 minutes, regardless of members present. Thank you, Mr. Casey. Is there an objection or disagreement on adopting this motion on meeting without a quorum? So it's carried. Mr. Casey?
Motion is related to the time for opening remarks and questioning of witnesses, and it is the following. Be it resolved that witnesses be given 5 minutes for their opening statement, that whenever possible, witnesses provide the committee with their opening statement 72 hours in advance, and that at the discretion of the chair during the questioning of witnesses, there be allocated 6 minutes for the first questioner of each party as follows for the first round. Conservative Party, Liberal Party, Bloc Québécois, New Democratic Party. For the second and subsequent rounds, the order and time for questioning be as follows. Conservative Party for 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes, Bloc Québécois 2.5 minutes, New Democratic Party 2.5 minutes, Conservative Party 5 minutes, Liberal Party 5 minutes.
Mr. Casey, are there any objections with this motion? No. Adopté.
It's carried.
Vas-y.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next motion is on document distribution, that only the clerk of the committee be authorized to distribute documents to members and of the committee, provided that the documents are in both official languages and that the witnesses be advised accordingly. Anyone opposed? No? So the motion is carried. Please go on. Miss.
Be it resolved that the clerk of the committee, at the discretion of the chair, be authorized to make the necessary arrangements to provide working meals for the committee and its subcommittees.
Yes. Are there any objection for that motion? No. But Shen, if you like that motion, you have to be here instead of virtual.
Mr. Chairman, you will note that this should weigh very heavily on you because it's at the discretion of the chair with respect to working meals. So you don't get to vote. No pressure.
Okay, so please send me your address at home. And okay, so no objection for that motion. Okay, adopté.
So it's carried. Please carry on. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Next motion is the following: that if requested, and that unless that if requested, reasonable travel, accommodation, and living expenses be reimbursed to witnesses not exceeding 2 representatives per organization, and that in exceptional circumstances, payment for more representatives be made at the discretion of the chair. Thank you, Mr. Casey. Objection on this motion? I see none, so it's carried. Please carry on, Mr. Casey.
Motion is with respect to access to in-camera meetings, and it is, be it resolved that unless otherwise ordered, each committee member be allowed to be accompanied by one staff member at in-camera meetings, and that one additional person from each House officer's office be allowed to be present.
Voilà, la motion a été lue. Est-ce qu'il y a objection?
So the motion was read. Any objection on this motion? It's carried. Please carry on. Next motion is on transcripts of in-camera meetings, that one copy of the transcript of each in-camera meeting be kept in the committee clerk's office for consultation by members of the committee or by their staff, and that the analysts assigned to the committee also have access to the in-camera transcripts. So this is the last motion. No objection on this last motion. So there we go. So it's carried. No, we're not done. I'm sorry.
So, notice of motion, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Be it resolved that a 48-hour notice interpreted as 2 nights be required for any substantive motion to be moved in committee unless the substantive motion relates directly to the business then under consideration, provided that A, the notice be filed with the clerk of the committee no later than 4 p.m. Eastern from Monday to Friday, B, the motion be distributed to members and the offices of the whips of each recognized party in both official languages by the clerk on the same day the said motion was transmitted, if it was received no later than the deadline hour, and C, notices received after the deadline hour or on non-business days be deemed to have been received the next business day, and that when the committee is holding meetings outside the parliamentary precinct, no substantive motion may be moved.
All right, thank you. Are there any objections? No? That's perfect. Let's go, let's continue.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that in relation to orders of reference from the House respecting bills, that A, the clerk of the committee shall, upon the committee receiving such an order of reference, write to each member who is not a member of a caucus represented on the committee to invite those members to file with the clerk of the committee in both official languages any amendments to the bill which is the subject of the said order, which they would suggest that the committee consider.
B, suggested amendments filed pursuant to paragraph A at least 48 hours prior to the start of clause-by-clause consideration of the bill to which the amendments relate, shall be deemed to be proposed during the said consideration, provided that the committee may, by motion, vary this deadline in respect of a given bill, and C, during the clause-by-clause consideration of a bill, the chair shall allow a member who filed suggested amendments pursuant to paragraph A an opportunity to make brief representations in support of them.
Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Casey. Does anyone object to adopting this motion?
Non plus. Alors,
No. So let's continue on. Thank you. Please go ahead, Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Linguistic review, be it resolved that all documents submitted for committee business that do not come from a federal department, members' offices, the office of the clerk of the committee, and the office of the analyst, or that have not been translated by the Translation Bureau be sent for prior linguistic review by the Translation Bureau before being distributed to members.
thank you so much. Are there any objections for that? No. But Sean, I think that you miss one of them, technical test for witnesses just before linguistic review.
OK, ça sera la prochaine.
Okay, that will be the next one.
Excuse me. Sorry, so the order was mixed up a little bit. So, okay, let's go for this one. So, technical test for witnesses.
Absolument, monsieur.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. That the clerk inform each witness who is to appear before the committee that the House Administration Support Team must conduct technical tests to check the connectivity and the equipment used to ensure the best possible sound quality, and that the chair advises the committee at the start of each meeting of any witness who did not perform the required technical tests. Thank you very much. Does anyone object to adopting this motion? No. The motion is therefore carried.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Be it resolved that the House of Commons approved headsets be required for all witnesses appearing before the committee at the chair's discretion.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Does anyone object to adopting this motion? No. So thank you very much. Routine motions have therefore all been adopted. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Sean Casey and also to congratulate him. As you all can see on his French, I'm very impressed by all of the efforts he's made. He has been taking classes rather, and spent time in Quebec, so it's perfect. So thank you very much. Mr. Chair, yes, Mr. Desilets, please go ahead. I would like to table two motions because we have hours left. I'll just be tabling them. Both of these motions are translated and we have paper copies for everyone. Would that be fine with you? Yes? Well, we have reached that stage now, so yes, it is time to table motions for studies that we would like to undertake during the session. So first, the interpreter does not have a copy of this motion. Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, a study be undertaken.
LGBTQ+.
Service will resume as soon as possible.
Que le comité invite à témoigner le ministre des Anciens Combattants.
That the committee invite the Minister of National Defense and officials from the Department of Veterans Affairs, that the committee hold a minimum of 3 meetings, and that the committee report the findings of the study to the House and recommendations. That is the first motion. I will move on to the second one, if I may, Mr. Chair. Yes, please go ahead. Here I go. Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee undertake a study on the benefits and services offered to veterans who were victims of sexual misconduct during their military service. That the committee invite the Minister of Veterans Affairs and the government officials to follow up on this issue, and that the committee hold a minimum of 3 meetings to do so, and that the committee report its findings and recommendations to the House. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Desilets. As Mr. Desilets said, he is just tabling a notice of this motion, so we will not be debating them right away. I would also like to specify something else. Given that some committee members will be participating virtually, I would also ask members that, yes, it's great when you table motions to distribute them in both official languages, but also could you plan to have a copy, to have that sent electronically to the clerk? That way, members participating virtually can have a look at the motion or notice of motion in both official languages when they're tabled. It's just been sent, Mr. Chair. Oh, great, it's been sent. So I have a raised hand, Mr. Sean Casey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, merci, Monsieur Desilets.
And thank you, Mr. Desilets, for those notices of motions.
May I suggest, given that one of the routine motions that we just passed was the establishment of a subcommittee on agenda and procedure, that the notices of motion presented by Mr. Desilets and any other ideas that members have for future business be referred to that subcommittee for a discussion and recommendations back to the main committee in terms of priority and allocation of time for each. My experience has been that the use of the subcommittee tends to make the work a bit more efficient, and that's what I would suggest with these motions and with any others that might be forthcoming in terms of the early work of the committee.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. So let's take a quick look about that subcommittee. But like in the routine motion, they said that that subcommittee supposed to be, I think it's the 2 vice presidents, the president. Is that all? I think it's more than, is it 3 people? 5, okay.
The chair and 1 from each party.
Okay, so you agree with that? On va l'organiser et puis ensuite on va continuer. D'accord, nous reprenons. Donc.
All right, let's begin. I just consulted with the clerk regarding this subcommittee, and I've been told that notwithstanding the chair and the vice chairs, it's actually the whips of the parties who choose the other members who will be on that subcommittee. But we are in agreement that we can have a subcommittee, and then the subcommittee can receive notices of motions and motions that will be tabled in the future, and that will help us to organize the work that our committee will do and make things more efficient. So thank you, Mr. Casey.
The floor is for Mrs. Blaney. So go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Chair, and congratulations for being put in this important role. I really appreciate your leadership during this time and into the future. And I agree, of course, with Mr. Casey that the appropriate steps going forward is to have the subcommittee meet and have these discussions. I would put forward, and I know I've had conversations with some members around this table already, that I think all of us want to be getting straight to work when we're here in February, since I don't think we're meeting on the 31st of January. So my thought is maybe we could submit our notice to motions. I have several studies that I'm really eager to put on the table and have discussions about. But perhaps what we could do, Mr. Chair, is ask the minister to come have a visit with us and some of his officials on the first day back. I know the minister is incredibly busy, so the sooner we get that request out, it might give us an opportunity to ask some questions and also give our subcommittee a little bit of time to meet to look at all of the notices to motion and hopefully have some recommendations for the larger committee. Would love to hear from other members and totally respect that Mr. Sampson and I had a conversation about this earlier, so I don't want to take any credit for conversations that we've already had, but I think that would be a great way for this committee to start, and love to hear from others.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Blaney, and
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Sanson. Yes, just in the same vein as my colleague said, we will also be tabling motions, and we certainly agree on the subcommittee, and we also agree that for the minister and the minister's staff to come and give us a session of their time, and then we can get right into work. The only other thing I might add,
Either tonight or another night, and then the next meeting is the two reports that we worked on and received testimony in the last Parliament is now not moving forward unless we put a motion that we would inherit the testimony and then move forward to report. So I'll leave that with the committee to take decisions around that discussion. Thank you.
yes, thank you. But thank you, Mr. Sanson. But I'd like to add that because we have a lot of new members on that committee, even though myself, and I'd like to mention those two studies that was uncompleted in the last Parliament. The first one is Strategy for Commemorations in the 21st Century. And the last meeting was on May 2021. They had 21 witnesses, 4 meetings. So the draft record could be ready for committee review. So that's for the first one. And for the second one, it's Service Dogs for Veterans. So the last meeting was in June 2021, 16 witnesses, 4 meetings. And the draft report would be ready for committee's consideration. So this is the two studies that you were talking about. Okay, great. So, any other suggestion, motions, or and you will? But one question, Mr. Sanson and Mrs. Blaney, you ask, you propose. A motion to invite the minister, but what type of discussion would you like him to have? Is it an update on what's going on under? Please, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's a very important question, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I think for me, it would be a basic briefing. I recognize I've been on the committee for a while, but there are many members that are new to the committee, and I think it would be good for us to just have a bit of a briefing and an update on what's happening. Of course, I believe all members in this place really want to make sure we're serving veterans well, so it's a good opportunity for us to ask some good questions of the minister. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Darrell, nothing to add? Okay, perfect. So the clerk is you're concerning by that motion too. So can you say a few words? Are we during the holidays? Are we going to send an invitation to the minister for the next meeting, or how? D'accord.
All right.
And Mrs. Blaney, étant donné que Madame Blaney, de la façon dont elle a
The way Ms. Blaney moved or proposed her, so we don't have any written copies. So the subcommittee will prepare that meeting and propose a timetable. But if we were to have a formal motion, the committee may decide to accept it, to accept the motion. Ms. Blaney?
Thank you for your patience as we try to figure out the process and procedure. My understanding, and I wait to hear from you, is that if the committee has consensus that they agree that they would like to invite the minister, that we don't need an official motion. So hopefully that's where we're at. And if you do need an official motion, please tell me and I will make something up in my head really quickly and you can all watch with a great amount of entertainment.
Oui, tout à fait d'accord, Madame Blaney. On peut effectivement.
Yes, indeed. If members of the committee are in agreement, we could say, so we could specify the number of meetings, how many hours, and as you said, we will need to, and also specify that we want a briefing or an update on the situation. So we can certainly give instructions to the clerk as to how to proceed. Madam Blaney, you have the floor.
Oh, of course. So my recommendation, and perhaps my motion is the better way to say, is that we invite the minister to come on the first sitting that we have when we return to Parliament, or as soon as possible, and have a general briefing with him and his cohort of folks that follow him and do so much great work for him.
Yeah.
And maybe what we can recommend is the minister come for the first hour and his folks stay for the second hour as well.
Right, okay.
That would be my recommendation.
Thank you so much. So any discussion, Mr. Desilets?
Monsieur le Président, c'est parce que je trouve ça un tout petit peu
Because I find it a little bit delicate, Mr. Chair, especially from an equity point of view. Motions were tabled earlier, but now we are tabling a motion on which we should have our say. I find it a little bit delicate. And I would also say that when it comes to dealing with service dogs and strategy for commemorations, we would need a motion because we don't know if we're all in agreement. Are we continuing these studies or not? Or I think we should move a motion. Thank you, Mr. Desilets. I hear you. So what essentially you want us to find a way to prioritize the studies and the meetings that we want to carry out. So you mentioned the 2 studies that were are still incomplete, and the motion moved by Ms. Blaney, and also your motion. So I understand that you would like to clarify things. So it is up to discussion. I would like to hear other members on this. What are your take on this, on the motion moved by Ms. Blaney to invite the minister at our first meeting? Mr. Caputo?
Chair, and congratulations as well on taking the head to of the committee here, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to endorse, I should say, Ms. Blaney's motion to have the minister appear at the first meeting back when we reconvene in early February.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Caputo. Monsieur Desilets?
Monsieur le Président, malgré
Mr. Chair, I absolutely concur with this motion. I don't want to make things hard on you, but I don't want us to proceed the same way. When it comes to the 2 incomplete studies, I would like us to move a motion so we can express ourselves on those 2 motions. Okay, so what about the other colleagues? Do you have something to say, Mr. Miao?
Also endorsing Honorable Blaney on the motion to have Minister join us. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So I think that we have the consensus between us that so I'm going to ask the clerk also to take the step necessary to invite the minister for the first hour and his staff for the second hour for the next meeting. And also we said that the subcommittee will take care all of that motions or avis de motion in order to say what will be our next study. You know, we agree on that too? Great. So, ça va? Okay, perfect. Great. So right now I'd like to know if there is no other business to discuss for the committee, so you are invited to say, Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just want to raise the issue of the timing of our committee meetings.
Yeah.
And particularly on Friday afternoon. A lot of people sitting at this table travel across the country, me included. And if these meetings on Friday afternoon slots stay, then it eliminates any weekend travel back to Newfoundland and Labrador for me. Otherwise, I'd just be in an aircraft all day Saturday and all day Sunday and get nothing done. So don't know if it's possible that there could be a different time slot for from Monday to Thursday that we could use. But I suggest that we explore it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers, and I can tell you that I endorse you. But I think that we have to discuss that with our whip in order to see if we can have a room, if we can change for any other days during the week. So it will be great instead of on a Friday afternoon. So I can ask, because we are the parties are there, so I will ask Mr. Desilets, Mrs. Blaney to ask, and Frank Caputo to discuss that with the whip, and I'm going to discuss it with my whip too, or maybe Darrell Sanson can do it, and we'll let you know if they're going to have to... No, what? I forget. I should ask if you agree on the proposal to.
I am sorry, I am the whip for the NDP. So I was just making a joke about it, so I apologize.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, I have hands raised by Mr. Casey. Sorry, go ahead.
If there's no one else on the speakers list, Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Right, I have no choice, so so the meeting is adjourned.